Everyone, how's it going? Yeah, new week, new day, new crazy stuff to work on. This one's a bit of a one-off because this is going to be used for another video as well. But yeah, this one is going to be a little bit of fun. Just gonna try and turn this photo scan of this toy that I have. So I have a toy here. Where is it? I have this little toy, this little dinosaur, and I've scanned it in 3D. I'm going to try and turn it into something that can be used in animation. So I've already scanned it. I've used a tool for that. I'm going to talk about that in another video. But there's a little guy. I'm going to use this and turn that into something a little bit more monstrous, a little bit more crazy. So it's going to try and make it move, try and make it raw, all that sort of stuff, and have a little fun with this one. It's just a one-off because I'm in between recording videos, especially with black curtain stuff, and I need to just take a break from the black curtain stuff for a day and then come back into it tomorrow. So we're going to do that today. Just give me a sec to get going. And for those on Twitch as well, thank you for joining. That's awesome that you are. And for those on YouTube, again, thank you. Welcome. All right. So how's everyone's weekend been, by the way? Going well? If you are, that's awesome. So we've got this little dinosaur. And it's actually a photo scan, which means it's actually already been textured, which is kind of crazy. So there's a texture there. So some parts have higher res, other parts have less high res. So I'm going to try and play with that a little bit and see what we can make with this. Now, I think I had a higher res version of this already, but I think I forgot to copy it. So we're going to try and work with what we got here, which is pretty cool. Actually, I think this is the right one. No, this is the correct one, I think, if I recall. So yeah, going to try and fill up all the holes, clean that up a little bit, and then we may have to do some extra edits inside of Substance Painter or something like that. But ultimately, we already got the base for it, which is pretty cool. So now we just have to sort of fill up the holes, work with that in mind, and yeah, try our best to clean it up. All right, so let's get into it and see what we can do. Hey, dude. All right. So, one last thing I need to do is just pop over to make sure the comments are coming through on both sides. Just give me 1 second. All right, cool. So let's do it. All right, let's get going. All right, see. Just give me 1 sec. Where are we? There's my Streamlabs. There we go. No sleep? Ah, I get plenty of sleep. Baby sleeps throughout the night, so it's pretty good. She's 11 months now, so it gets a little easier. So what we want to do is firstly clean up all these little bits here. Clean up all those little bits, and then just start to remove all these doubles as well. There's quite a few doubles. But yeah, let's just go ahead and clean up these. Oops, let's just go ahead and use this. Why isn't it working? Come on. That's weird. Oh, there we go. That's why. Right click. Clean up those. Delete. So basically just going ahead and just removing all the extra bits. Come on. I think it's out of battery. That's all right. Cool. Deleting those. I'm just going ahead and just removing anything that is going to cause any issues. Then I'll fill up the holes after that. What app do I recommend? I actually recommend, it's only on Mac though. This is why I bought the laptop after all. This is actually the only reason why I bought the laptop over the PC, really, is PhotoCatch. Now, PhotoCatch does a lot better than what I've got here, like way better, but I'll explain that in another video why. But why I'm using this model here. But basically, I used a tool for this one to see how it would run. And yeah, this is the sort of average result I got. So yeah, just going to be doing this, working with this one at the moment. But yeah, PhotoCatch does a really good job, like a really, really, really good job. It's almost flawless a lot of the time. So just keep that in mind. But yeah, the thing about the Mac is that it actually has some inbuilt APIs in there that like hooks into like an algorithm within the Mac OS that allows for really good photo scanning. And there's a reason why for that, that they put it in there, obviously. But it's really, really effective. That's the only thing. Right. All right, there we go. Clean that up. There we go. Sweet, the feet have been cleaned up somewhat. Let's go ahead and clean up the top, the bottom there as well. Hello, welcome. Welcome to the stream. I appreciate the kind words. So yeah, just going ahead and pulling those out, cleaning up all those little bits and bobs. And some parts I just can't fix really, so I'm going to just delete what I can. And then I'm going to fill up the holes with everything else. Other parts I should be able to select, yeah, select islands like that. Things are just floating in space. Let's just go into solid mode. So I can see these a little clearer. There we go. That looks a bit better. All right, cool. So what I want to try and do is sculpt in more detail and fix up the teeth, fix up the mouth, fix up the holes there, and try and turn this into like an animatable character. Now with the tablet though, doing this is a breeze. Like cleaning up things is actually really effective. All right. Let's get any bit other floaty bits. Now those little bits in the mouth could actually be useful, but I'll probably get rid of them. Let's just get rid of those little bits that are floating there. Because I need to remesh this in the end as well. And I'll probably add a tongue in there as well. Oh, let's do that. There we go. Oh. Vertices. There we go. Cool. Yeah, it's really fun. It's a fun thing to do to scan your own stuff, like things you have around the house, and then turn it into something more. So just going ahead and just deleting those. Oops. All right, cool. So that's looking a little bit better. Some parts we just have to sculpt manually. So going through and just cleaning up all that bits and bobs. And there we go. I think we're good. There's a few bits here that we need to clean up as well. There we go. All right. And yeah, clean that part there. Clean up that part there and this part there. All right, sweet. All right, sweet. I think that will do. Let's have a look and see what we got. All right, so that's looking all right. That's looking all right. Now it's time to sort of fill in all the holes and see what we can do with all this stuff. So what we're going to do is grab all these little non-manifold areas. So you can actually go to select and then select by trait non-manifold and push fill holes with edges. Fill holes. Yeah, it didn't quite work there. There should be a way to just push fill holes. Where is it? Mesh. Clean up. Can also do it with the cleanup tool. Let's have a look. Where are we? Clean up. Fill holes. Did it work? Not quite. So I have to do it manually of sorts. That's all right. We'll let's go ahead and do it one by one. And this could take a little bit of a while, but let's have a look and see what we can do. Ah, come on, rotate properly. Okay. Let's just select everything again. Select by trait, loose geometry for one, and just delete that stuff as well, because there's a bit there, here and there. So I'm just going to go ahead and delete those. And there's a few other lingering bits that we need to clean up. There we go. Awesome. All right, sweet. So with that in mind, let's go ahead and, sorry, just let me move this aside to see if anyone on Twitch is saying hello. Sorry. Yeah, sorry, just got to bring that up. Oh, yeah, no worries. Thanks for the join. Thanks for looking around, Mr. Block Bell. Appreciate it. All right, cool. All right, so what we got here is we're just going to go ahead and try and fix all these bits up. So what I might do is quickly, I don't know, I'm tempted to just see what I can do about filling it manually, or whether or not to just fill the holes using that fill holes thing and then delete the parts that were broken. So let's go ahead and select by type. No, select by type. Non-manifold and push F. That worked. Worked over here. That was great. That worked really great up there as well. Look at that. The thing in the head is just completely gone. That's all right. We can clean that up with a little bit of remeshing. That should be fine. Yeah, because it's not going to be perfect anyway. But all things considered, that did a pretty good job. Let's just go ahead and select this part here and do the big chunky bits separately. Yeah, so that should be fine. That one's filled in. That's good. I might just put a solid piece there just to fill that part in. think this is the only one that's really problematic. And what we can do is just put a giant tube there, I think. Yeah, I think we'll have to do that. And that part there, we can add a little ball. So what I'm going to do is just double check to see where all the other remaining holes are. And it's all just basically the tail and the side of the body there. So what I'm going to do is try and add a cube, scale it down. I might subdivide this one actually. And place it in the tail. And I'll go into X-ray view. So like that with random colors. So I can see what I'm doing. Yeah. All right, cool. It's a bit of a weird one, this video, but let's see. So I did get a better scan with the tool that I had, but this is more indicative of what you'd probably get out of the box. All right, cool. Here we go. Fill that in. So I'm trying to get that to fit pretty much perfectly. I think that works well. All right. Let's add a few more loops here and here. Let's just jump back into solid view. And we're just going to get that tail to match the top or the bottom. Turn on smooth select and just sort of wrap that tail this way. Now I don't want to lose too much detail in the tail because the tail has got some detail in there too with the scan. So what I'll need to do is basically just make sure it's all nice and situated inside there before I apply it. Okay, cool. I think that'll do fine. Okay, cool. Oh, there's some holes there. Oh no, that's fine too. All right, cool. So it's going to do one more loop this way and try and fill this part up. Yeah. All right, cool. Something like that will do good. We'll remesh, fill the parts, add more vertices. Yeah, it depends on. Oh, thank you. Cheers. My pleasure. Unicomics. As for Block Bell, we'll remesh, fill the parts, add more vertices. It depends on how much you want to remesh. So basically, you can remesh to your heart's content. So I'll probably end up having more geometry. Or, well, this thing's got what, a couple million. if I check, let's have a look. Statistics. So there's 200, or it has 400,000, 500,000 triangles. So if I remesh it, it'll probably be less, I reckon. We'll see, actually. We'll see. So let's go ahead and just increase the scale there. I don't even know if the remesh is going to work particularly well, given that it's a non-manifold mesh. So we'll see how we do. This is more for fun, but there is a purpose to rigging a photo scan. In that, what I would do if I had to like rig a tree, for instance, I could what was I gonna say? Sorry. Where was I? All right. So basically, if I wanted to rig a tree and I wanted to be a realistic tree and a tree that I had in the house or around in the garden or something like that, you can scan it, do a basic retopo maybe like a remesh, and then rig it normally, which is really cool. So that's one way you can think about it. So that's where it would actually be useful. All right, let's go ahead and save that, join that, and now let's try remeshing. Oh, let's see how it goes. Okay, it worked. That's good. Okay, didn't quite work there. Okay, what happens there? Okay, so all right, something is missing. Oh, right, there's a hole in the foot. Okay, that's why. So you got to be really, really careful about having holes in your mesh when you do a remesh, which sucks. But let's try and get it to work. Okay, we want to get a bit more than that going on. Did I join it to the wrong thing? I did. So this is the part that's really tricky, is just getting this to work. All right, cool. That will do. And also just let's see about this one. Will this work? Yep. Good. And I might have to add like another shape there or something. Oh, so I have to add that shape here too. So let's add another circle. These are just cheap and easy ways to fill up the holes. And then I'm just going to sculpt it flat. There we go. That's one way of doing it. Yeah, the foot got lost. So what we need to do is fill up the hole. And then it should work. So let's go ahead and do that. How can we fill this hole? Oh, that worked. Good. All right, sweet. So let's try that now. Try remeshing that. And that looks like it's going to work a lot better. So it's starting to work a bit better. Okay. All right. Yep, there's another issue. Forgot to join the other shape there. So grab that one, join it. I'm also going to make a duplicate of this just to put as a side over here. So I'm going to remesh this. There we go. There we go. So you can see even with the remesh, the amount of triangles is actually a lot less. There's a lot of geometry. So it actually does work out in the end, which is pretty cool. All right, cool. So I'm going to go ahead and apply that. And let's compare with the other one. There's our remesh. And that's the other one. And you can see the resolution is a little bit less, but it'll come together after the fact. So what we're going to do is sort of upres this with some sculpting, and hopefully I can make it move. All right. So now we're into sculpt mode. We can start sculpting some stuff. All right. So now we can start to do some crazy stuff, like adding more detail, removing detail, fixing things. So I'm going to go into sculpt mode, go into matte cap, might turn into a clay render, and then start to sculpt. It's kind of crazy. So I can sort of smooth things out, smooth out any problem areas, start to add new areas, fix up areas here, for instance. I mean, that could even be a scar tissue if I wanted it to. But I can smooth out this area there, fix up the holes, fix up all that weirdness there. Yeah, well, obviously, it is it is from a toy. So it's from a toy here. That's the actual dinosaur. So of course it's going to be a non-symmetrical toy. So yeah, you can still make it work though. All right, so let's go ahead and clean that up. I can make it into a zombie T-Rex. Let's do it. If I really wanted to. It is Halloween after all. All right, cool. So there we go. Let's get the feet going on there. Flatten out the feet. Flatten this part out. Fix that up. Take away the toy label. It says the toy label here. So you can just fix that up there. Remove that. Now this doesn't preserve the textures at all, mind you. It just it is literally a brand new mesh. So all right, let's go ahead and grab this. Let's start to bring the mouth back a little bit. Oops. So I have a choice. I can either put the tongue separately or do it in the mesh itself. I'm tempted to do it in the mesh itself. There's some parts here that look a little bit like they need to be remeshed again, but we'll make it work. Nah, not really. It wouldn't really do much, the smooth modifier. I mean, you can try, but yeah, I don't think it will do much. All right, cool. All right, I think we're on the right track. That's looking pretty good. All right, sweet. So I'm going to go ahead and smooth that out as well. Now, normally what you can do is just get an alpha pack, an alpha brush pack, and fill up the fix up the problems. So that's what I'm probably going to do. I'm going to try and find. I think I already own one somewhere. Otherwise, I'll have to buy a new one or get one from somewhere online. But basically, a alpha brush pack for like scales and all sort of things. So I can see what I got for that too. All right. So that being said, we can start to add back new detail. So we can actually go into this thing and start to sort of work with that as in Dine Topo, for instance. And then start to bring back some detail. Let's go like this, like, so we've got that eye there. Let's go ahead and add that eye back into the fold. Now I can also go ahead and, now mind you, this isn't symmetrical either, so I'd have to do both sides to make this work. Yeah, I can make my own alphas as well. So you can add those sort of details back in if you want to, just to try and get that going on there. Now, of course, I wouldn't animate the eyes like this if it was sculpted, but I could go ahead and do these kind of crazy sort of details. Hmm? All right, cool. Grabbing this. And now it's looking pretty deranged over there, which is pretty cool. What is the key to joint parts? To join parts? Oh, you're talking about, it's Control J. Control J to join parts. Yeah, I know, right? Looking pretty good. I can't complain. And I can actually add, if I wanted to add like scales. I could easily do it with just the sample brush here as well. Just go like this. And I can add a bit more. As I get closer, I can add more detail. So I can actually do this sort of thing. And sometimes it's all you need. So sometimes they like a custom brush, you don't really need it sometimes. So maybe I can just get away with just doing this for now. Add a little bit of variation there as well. But yeah, you can go ahead and just do all kinds of crazy stuff like this. Hey, how you doing? So what I want to do after I do this, I'm going to try and remesh this, like to get it ready for rigging and some animation. So we'll see how much time I have to do this. But basically I want to just at least get the head to turn. Well, technically you didn't have to, you don't really have to remesh it to make it work. You kind of wake it. You can kind of work with it in that regard. So even in this model, it has a few, yeah, it does have detail. So what I'm going to do is just bring back some detail over here. So I got the little dinosaur model as a reference on the side there as well. So that's looking pretty cool, actually. I kind of like that. I'm accidentally stylizing it as well as always with what I do, but you know, it is what it is. Now you can actually, obviously, I go into maybe getting some cool brushes in a second, but that's looking pretty sweet, I reckon. Yeah, struggling. If you're not using it, I don't know what your workflow is like at the moment with the sculpting that you're trying to do, but if you're trying to just literally sculpt off it with a mouse, for instance, it's always going to be a struggle. Oh, no worries. Cheers. Thanks for joining Flying Our Reaper. And happy Halloween to everyone, by the way. I'm hoping to get a video done today as well for Halloween, but we'll see how we go. Time's running out, but I still got one more day in Australia for that. So that would work out for America, at least. Now that's looking pretty cool. Now look, that's the other side, and then there's this side. What a difference, huh? And if I turn on the cavity, let's go with world. We can get some pretty cool stuff going on. Happy Halloween. Yeah, cheers. So yeah, just going ahead and just adding these sort of details. Now we'll try and do some alpha map textures in a second. I just want to get this eye looking the way I want it. Now, depending, of course, on how big your model is, you may not even need to do this when it comes to up-resing your mesh, like as in like getting the mesh ready for production or whatever. So you might even just be happy with the detail you got, especially with plants and rocks and stuff. You probably won't have to do this sort of thing, but if you're going with characters, you may need to go through and do some cleanup like this. All right, cool. So I'll probably only do one half of this before I decide to sort of move on to doing a remesh. Not a remesh, but a remesh for rigging. But what a difference, huh? What a difference. And I'm just adding more and more geometry as I go. And then I can sort of. Now the tricky part would be the teeth to do this. It would be pretty tricky to get that going, but There we go. All right, cool. So that's actually really cool from afar. That actually looks really sick. I don't know if you guys agree, but looks awesome. Um, so what I'm going to do is might just go ahead and just see if I can download the texture pack of mine. Now, normally I have a hard drive lying around for this. Just give me 1 second. I'll try and find it. Just give me 1 sec. All right, so I found it. Let's see if I still have the packs from the dragon tutorials that I was doing at one stage. Might do I might do a fresh version of that, by the way. I've got a sketching tablet, but retraining the brain to go let go of box modeling techniques. Yeah, I know it can be quite tricky at times, honestly. Oh shit, did I move the frame? There we go. But yeah, I know what you mean. It's pretty crazy. Cool. Oh, thank you, Blockhell as well. Just give me 1 sec. Now I think I do have it still. Drag and drag and drag. There we go. Images. Now I know I should have the brushes here somewhere. Unless I save them on my bloody hard drive on my laptop. If not, I'll just get them from ArtStation. That's where I bought them from. Ah, sweet, I found them. Yeah, cool. So I got all these alphas here. I'll show you what they look like. Yeah, so look at this, like scales and stuff like that. So I can use it with that in mind. So I have this reptile skin here. Got this one here. So I can try these sort of things out and see how we go. Yeah, so they should do the trick. So the trick to see if I got a good one. Yeah, stuff like this would be great. So I'm going to give this a go and see how we do. So to get them installed, it's pretty simple. Just grab the brush you want to do it on. I'm going to do it on the draw brush and go to the tools. And if you go down to texturing over here, you can add new brushes. So I'm going to go add new brush, push open, navigate to my hard drive. Okay, there it is there. No, it's not plugged in there. All right, not showing up there. Just give me a second. Let's try and just add a file in there and see what happens when I just drag and drop it, if it just recognizes the hard drive after that. There it is there. Close that. Now hopefully we can import a bloody file. No. All right. Let's just grab the path name. Whoops, shit. All right, cool. So now we get a preview of this. Let's just try and see what we can use. So I might try and use this one. This one looks good. And this one looks good. So these two look pretty good. Grab both of those. Open image. That's one's going to be good. Let's add another one. All right, sweet. So they should be the same. They should be two different textures now. Are they? No. All right, so let's go to texture 02. And remove that. Open. Try that. Open image. Texture 01, texture 02. Sweet. Then we just save that in there. And if I wanted to sort of keep them in the file, I'll pack them in there as well, so that I don't lose them. All right, cool. So now what I can do is use one of these brushes as a template. So I'm going to go to sculpt mode and go to my brush here. And then I'm going to choose an alpha channel, so a brush type. So if I go to texture, I'm going to choose a texture. Oops. Where's the other options? There they are. There, texture 1, 2. So what I can do is now I'm going to change it to stencil. Not stencil, I might go to view plane. And then under stroke, I'm going to change it to anchored. So now I should be able to create a brush like that. So it's pretty cool. So what I'm going to do is just get in nice and close, bring the strength down, and just sort of play with that. So what I need to do is also have pretty tight dine topo, I reckon, as well, to make it pop up. So you can see that the detail starts to pop up there. And you can sort of rotate it as well, which is really cool. Not sure why the strength is not coming up as much as I like. So something like that. Let's just turn that off and see what happens. No. I just want to get the detail in there, but right now it's not really working. So let's go with mapping underneath this advanced tab. So anchored, view plane, area plane. Let's try that. So what I'm trying to do is just trying to get the detail that I want. Now, as for the stencil, don't want to use that one. But it should be giving me the detail I want. So I'm not sure why it's not giving me that detail. It's not subdividing the mesh. Let's try with this one. Mapping. Let's choose a thingo. Come on. Yeah, that's going to work. I think that will work. So let's just check that to view plane and anchored as well. That should give me the detail that I need. Hey, why aren't you working? See how it's all there? That's what I want, but it's not giving me this subdivision that I want. Ah, din topo is turned off. Okay, cool. Now that might work. Ah, that's a shame. All right, that doesn't matter. We'll just change it to instead of anchored, we'll just go with our regular one, which was drag dot or space. That should work. There we go. And we can also set it up to be like sort of feathered and random. It's gonna bring that detail back into the mesh. And if we just click a few times, it will pop up. Like that. That's pretty cool, huh? So what I'm gonna do is, let's see what we can do. I think I fucked with the defaults a bit too much. Let's just double check to see what the set is. Tiled and space. So I'm going to change that to tiled, and Actually, I might actually keep it that way. Space. Oh. All right, so the tiling isn't working the way I would like. Oh, okay, I get it now. Why is it offset on the tiles like that? That's so weird. So let's just try viewplane or random. That kind of works. See that? That kind of works for me. But let's just go down here and have a go on the body. And it will help to sort of bring back some detail there. Now, personally, I'd love to do it anchored, but for some reason, it's not subdividing the mesh the way I would like it to, which sucks. What we can try is this one here. Let's see if that's going to work as well. But for some reason, it's not working. It should work with the done topo though. I could try and remesh this again and get the geometry level to work, but yeah, interesting that it's not working the way that I would like it to. Also, front faces only would be good to have. Okay. And it's so strange that it's not working the way I'd expect it to. It should be subdividing it quite a bit. And there we go. You can kind of get that going on there. Maybe I have to get really close. Either way, that should be enough geometry anyway. So just going ahead and adding all those extra details back in like that. Get those bumps in there. And that'll help make that dinosaur come back to life, I guess you can say, in terms of detail. Yeah, it's streaming. That's why it's not working. That's exactly why it's not working. I can guarantee that. But look at the detail difference there to there. It does look pretty cool. Let's bring down the detail like this then, all the way down. Probably shit itself. That doesn't look like it's making much difference anyway. There we go. It could be. Who knows? It doesn't matter though. We can just have. I'll live with it. I can just add. I can just add manually add detail as well if I had to. But that's coming up all right anyway. So there we go. And as for these little lip areas, what I will do before I add this detail here, what I might do is quickly add some extra geometry. And it's actually, I actually am adding geometry behind you. You can see the number going up there. By clicking that, and that should add enough geometry with the flatten brush. So now if I go ahead and add this, I'll do it with this one too. Yeah, there we go. Different kinds of detailing on top. So what I'll do is I'm going to go ahead and manually add some detail. I might turn off the Dant Topo for that part though. And then I'll add some detail on top of that secondary detail. So let's turn off this brush. Just close that brush out. So I'm going to add some detail myself first. So I just go in and add that detail properly like so. This is how I normally do it. I just sort of do my first primary detail first, work that stuff out, and then we'll add those extra flavors on top. So still that does require some finessing, like manual finessing. So something like that would be cool. Now, as for the teeth, we'll get to that in a bit. That's looking pretty cool. So I'm not being too picky. I'm obviously not trying to be like super realistic here, but getting those little details here and there will always help. Just bring up the authenticity a little bit. Now, as for the teeth, what I might do is I can either add teeth manually or I can just start to extrude them out. Because these teeth look pretty good. These ones are a little bit, yeah. But to think this came from a toy, which is also pretty cool. Just think about that. This came from like the base mesh, if you want to call it that, came from a toy. All right, cool. The nice thing about that is that you just didn't have to sculpt any of it. Like you don't have to like actually worry about the base mesh or getting any sort of detail going on there. No worries, man. Enjoy the rigging process. Thanks for joining. All right. That's looking pretty cool. And eventually I'm going to remesh this whole thing, like actually like a retopo remesh. All right, cool. Let's make sure the detopo is not too crazy detailed. There we go. So with the side of the face, as in like the with this part here with the gum, I'll try and add some gum there as well before I add the teeth. And I can probably get away with, if I was to do it like all in Blender, I can probably get away with doing a vertex painting to color it in. But again, we'll see how we go. I might just do it procedurally. So yeah, just going through, cleaning up, like adding detail where I want it. And just having a little fun with it, really. And then once I've done that, I'll probably do a quick little smooth over like this. Like really light smooth. So grab the smooth brush and just like bring it down to like a small amount and just sort of soften it out just a little bit. All right, cool. That's looking really cool. All right, get this going on there. Just like sticking that up a little bit. Maybe add a little bit of, I don't know, warts. I don't know. On top of that. There we go. And look at the difference between left and right. Massive difference, huh? So what I'm going to do now is I would be tempted to just like sort of draw one half, straighten it up, and then mirror it. So I can probably do that too. So if I just turn the head a little bit, so if I grab the head and then grab this tool here, let's just turn off dye on topper for this to work. This is going to be split in half when I remesh. It could. So what I can do, I can just mesh one half and then mirror the other half. So what I would do is grab this tool here and just tilt his head, which is kind of cool that you can actually do this. All right, there we go. And I'll do the same thing on the tail. I can't believe it's actually working really smoothly as well. It's like the performance is actually going really well, actually, with this in mind. The only problem is that when I've mirrored this, when I'm doing this mirroring, when I'm going to do this mirroring, I will lose the ability to use the old texture, but that doesn't matter because the old texture is pretty shit. So, let's try and move the whole body now this way. And then let's just clean up his face a little bit. Make sure it's going to be tilted nice and straight. And then I'd probably just, yeah, there we go. That's pretty good for straightening up the body. I can probably go ahead and mirror that. I can try it out if you want me to. So once that's done, let's give it a go. Let's just get rid of these little bits. All right. And the tool to use, let's go ahead and all transforms, would be to edit. Not quite there yet, but I can probably just, yeah, I can move the body. Not bad. That actually turned out really well. The tail got a bit short though. All right, so before I do that, I'm going to fix up the tail. And just straighten that up a little bit more. That one's the nub is a little bit fucked, but that's all right. Let's try that again. Auto mirror. Okay, let's not do that. Let's make sure that's all done. Auto mirror. And then try and mirror that again. You know what? All things considered, that came up pretty good. And that tail can be fixed up pretty easily with a decent sort of bit of sculpting. But with that being said, that came up pretty good. I'm going to go ahead and apply that. I'm going to save this as a new version. And mirror that. And there we go. We got ourselves a pretty good mirrored object. Now, the cool thing about this now is that I can actually go into sculpt mode, and in the mirroring tools, I can actually turn that on now and mirror this leg to straighten it out. And then do the same thing with the foot. Auto mirror is an add-on that's included in Blender by default. So now I can actually sculpt in mirror pretty easily now. So that's pretty cool. So let's go into sculpt mode, and you can see now both details are on both sides, and they've got this giant hole in his head. But let's have a look and see what we have in terms of inside the mesh. So inside the mesh, we have these non-manifold bits. So what we would need to do to make this completely usable would be to remesh this again. So let's go to our remesh tools. Remesh, remesh, remesh. And the problem is that you lose a little bit of fidelity. I've lost a bit there, but it's more uniform across the board, so that's all right though. Before I do that though, I might go ahead and clean up that tail. Full on clean up that tail. All right, so let's go ahead and do that. Now this would require a brand new, basically a straight up new sculpt to work. Just remesh that. All right. Oh, I don't want to have 7 million. 1 million's all right. We can do 1 million. So basically, let's go ahead and remesh that. And now we have this sort of even spread. And hopefully it would have fixed that issue in the middle of the mesh. And it looks like it has, which is good. And I can go through and start to sculpt that out and clean it up a little bit. Yeah, that looks good. And I can fix that up with a little bit of detail on the back of the spine still as well. So it does require a bit, like when you do it this way, when you're working with this in mind, it does take a bit of time to sort of clean up your mesh and bring back details as well. If you have an average scan, of course, if your scan isn't perfect, then you'll have to sort of go in and sort of do the fixes. All right, cool. So let's go ahead and get that tail looking a little less weedy. There we go. That looks a little bit better. Fix up that tail. Sorry. All right, that one looks a little bit too long. Let's bring that a little bit in, and there we go. Sweet. All right, so we've lost a lot of detail in the tail, but that's okay. We can bring that back if you have to, and then in the legs as well. But yeah, a lot of improvement though, all things considered. Like a lot of changes since the original part of this thing. All right, cool. Let's fill it in his head because it's looking a little bit brainless right now. Let's go ahead and just add a little bit of geometry. And then we'll add the spine as well back into it. Okay, that looks pretty good. So that spine can come back. We're also going to fix up the mouth a little bit. That looks a lot better now as well. And what we might do is smooth out these lips, smooth out these gums. And what I would plan on doing is a fresh extrusion of teeth. So let's go ahead and do that. So there we've got some a base for the gums. We've got that going on now. And now we can start to add brand new teeth to this guy. All right. All right. So I'm just going to grab this and just push a little bit of the mesh around just to get that up like that. There we go. No gums, no bite now, all right. So I'm just going to go ahead and just get his palette looking a little bit cleaner, better again. And eventually we're going to bring out a tongue as well. So we'll do that in a second. Actually, might do that now. Should we do that now? So what I can do is grab a mask over here. And then invert that mask. And what we're going to do is grab the snake hook tool. And then just pull out a tongue. If it was 1950 style, it actually would have a snake hook for the tongue itself, wouldn't it? All right, cool. All right, so I'm going to add some Don Topo here to give it a little bit more geometry. And then we can start to smooth it out a little bit. It's pretty cool, huh? Masks are really useful. They're really useful in sculpting. There we go. That looks pretty sweet. I'll give it some more thickness down there. There we go. Cool. That looks pretty sweet. I can add a little bit of detail there as well, like just like striations in the so like when you look at it like a tongue on the side, you kind of see this like sort of unevenness. There we go. That looks pretty cool. Yeah, sweet. Turn off Don Topo. Might smooth off the bottom there a little bit. And there we go. Sick. All right, let's clear out the mask. That's looking pretty cool. Cheers, dude. All right, cool. So with that in mind, what we're going to do now is the teeth. So I'm going to grab this gum area and just reduce that a little bit. All right. No worries. Cheers. Thanks for watching, dude. All right. So with that in mind, let's go ahead and grab the snake hook tool. So what I'm going to do is basically grab this tool here and start to just extrude out teeth. So what I want to do, I might actually create a mask for this as well, of the area that I just want to be, cheers, thank you, of the area that I want to have it affected. So I'm just going to grab the mask tool. Right, oh shit. Mask out this area. And that's where I want them, only want the teeth to come from. Yeah, I figured it would be midnight. It usually is when I stream overseas. It's usually midnight overseas. So that there, let's go ahead and grab that. Nice and dark. There's my mask. And then grab mask, invert. Where's invert? Ah, there we are. Now I could even find like special brushes that let you do teeth straight up, but let's just go ahead and add our own. Oops. Let's turn on Done Topo. Let's keep the level relatively okay. Get some brand new teeth. Oops, let's invert that again. Should probably save that file, by the way. All right, let's start with the middle teeth because I want to keep those relatively symmetrical. There we go. That's better. Starting with that. Oh, cheers. No worries. Thank you for the salute. And I can sort of inflate those a little bit as well. There we go. That's better. Good night, mate. Enjoy your sleep. All right. Now for the rest, I'm just going to go ahead and just start to extrude out different lengths of teeth. Like so. I'm also trying to keep mindful of just detail as well. I don't want it to be too uniform. So I want the points to be pointy as well, obviously. That's looking pretty cool. All right, and one last little extrusion there. I think we've got something going on there. That looks pretty sweet. That looks awesome. And then I'll just add a little bit of volume on those on the front. So add a little bit of volume, give it a bit more roundedness. Something like that will look pretty cool. There we go. Mad. All right, sick. All right, here we go. So I'm not going to actually smooth these out very much because I kind of want to have those striations in the teeth. If I'm going to smooth it, it has to be very subtle. So something like that looks pretty cool. All right. What a difference to the original model though, huh? Let's have a look at the difference in the model in comparison. So there's the old one, the scan. There's the scan with all the holes filled up. And here's the new one. Looking pretty sweet, I reckon. All right. So let's just jump into the sculpt mode a bit more. And I'm going to get the sort of the bottom teeth done, and then we'll jump into doing some other detailing. All right, cool. And then it's likely that after this stream, I'll have to like do the other part, which is the rigging and the animation part. Ah. All right. All right. Something like that looks pretty cool. There we go. Also, just gonna be mindful of the rotation of the teeth. Let's do it this way. That looks cool. Yeah. Actually, little ones like that don't look too bad either. So just gonna smooth that out. Bigger ones over here. Obviously, I'll thicken those up a little bit as time goes on. And then just sort of get that hooked feeling into the teeth going into like the back. Something like that. Yep, there we go. Like that looks pretty sweet. But again, massive difference over like the previous the scan. All right, cool. All right, so I'm just gonna go ahead and sculpt those out a little bit. Give it some thickness. Smooth out the top if I have to. And I'll add some creasing as well between the teeth. That's all right. I'm still here, so that's good. I'm doing dinosaurs today just for fun. This is actually for a video that I was meant to publish last week, but it just didn't happen. So cheers. It's actually from a Photoscan. So the scan is actually from a toy. So from a toy. And then I scanned it using a device that I'm going to talk about in a video, hopefully today or tomorrow. And that device allowed me to get this base mesh, and then I just sort of am sculpting on top of it to give it more detail. Or like redo the detail rather, fix up the problems with it. All right, cool. All right, cool. So it's going to add some creasing. So where's the crease brush? Up here. So just going to add some creasing in between the teeth now, just to give it some separation. You can also use this brush here, the Draw Sharp, just crease in those areas a bit more. All right, cool. And then just going to get the sort of gum line into the teeth as well. So just trying to get that feeling of them actually sitting inside the teeth, inside the gum as well. So something like this would be pretty cool. So now it's looking really nice and gummy. Yeah, something like that was cool. I don't know if you hear the cat, but he's driving us nuts. Just give me a second to let him into my office. Because he might wake up the baby. Just give me a second. Ah, he does it right in front of the baby's door. It's impossible. All right, cool. So we got that going on. Let's have a look at the final output here so far. That's a huge difference than what I had before. Look at that. That looks so cool. And with the right sort of detailing on the mouth, it kind of looks like the gums are exposed as well, which is cool. So I'm gonna go into sculpt mode. I'm gonna release the mask. And then sort of get that sort of real pinching going on there. And that will help keep that looking really really gooey. That looks cool. All right, I'm liking this so far. All right. Sweet. That looks cool. I like the fact that it has this like 2 layers there as well, which looks really cool. I think that's like an accident, but that looks really cool. All right. So what we're going to do next is just to basically clean up at this point. So basically adding detail when we need it, trying to increase detail around the feet and the legs and stuff like that, and just generally trying to make it look a bit more menacing and a bit more detailed in certain areas. So I'm going to start with just getting these sort of details looking a little bit more intense. Again, making sure that I'm not over smoothing. Just generally bringing back those details as well. I've also got the other brushes as well. So I've got plenty of brushes to play with. So I can turn off Don Topo for now. And if I go to my brush tools, I can install a few other ones as well. So I'm going to add a new brush and see what else I got. Let's see. Oh, that would be perfect for the back. That one there for the back would be great. Or this one here. Awesome. So what I'm going to do is grab, or even this one here. I might grab this one. And then see how that looks. Yeah, it looks good. So what I'm going to do is grab the anchored point like that, increase the strength, turn off tiled. I want to have it based on the view plane, and just sort of Try and get that going on there. So I'm going to increase the strength. As for why it's not, again, it's not playing the way I would like it to. Let's go ahead and add it to this brush instead. View plane and anchored. Yep, that's working better. Yeah, something like that. So that's what I want. A little bit of strength. I could probably turn on Dine Topo now and see what happens. That's it. Now it's working. That's so weird. And let's go ahead and add those details. I can also do it through a curve or a line. Yeah, that's cool. Let's see what happens if I do this. Yeah, that's cool. Let's go add the spacing, increase spacing. And set it to like 50%. Yeah, that's kind of what I want. I might turn off mirroring for now. Yeah, that's kind of, yeah, that's perfect. So what I might do is just change the direction. Let's try resetting that direction. Or I might try another brush. So I'm going to try another brush. Let's go with one in the other direction. So something like this one. Or this one. Let's go with this one here. It's going in the wrong direction. Damn. So I want to do something like that, you know. Oh, there it goes. Now it's working. There we go. There we go. Sick. That's what we want. Let's just smooth that out a little bit first. There we go. That's sick. We can bring down the strength a little bit. Something along those lines. That's what we want. That's looking pretty cool. All right. Let's just quickly go ahead and increase the scale on some volume over there. And I think I'm going to have to wrap it up because I think my little one has just woken up. So what I'm going to do is continue on with this off stream. I'm going to keep on recording this later today. And then I'm going to go ahead and create a video on how I did this and what tool I used to make it happen. So I'm going to leave it there. Thank you for watching. It's been awesome. It's been really fun. It's been nice to do something a little bit different to the norm. And yeah, I hope you had fun. And I'll catch you guys in the next video, I reckon. Let's just quickly get this done. Area plane, view plane, stencil. That's all right. Let's get that there. That's all I wanted. All right. All right, cool. Let's wrap it up, and I'll see you guys in the later one, in the next one. Cheers. See you tomorrow.